Produces immediate effects, right?
Yeah, implementation produces immediate effects. That's exactly the way it works. That's exactly the way it works. It's one chill. All right, okay, y'all ready? We're ready. Okay, so you know the rules. You don't have to believe any of it.
Right.
And just see if you hear something that resonates for you. That may be a little bit of your answer tonight. I feel like going heading a little hardcore. Doing a little hardcore truth tonight. Yeah. We on chapter 23 in the course of love, which is freedom of the body.
And the page.
It's on page 205.
205.
Freedom of the body. Freedom of the body. Now it'll probably take about 15 minutes of me sharing before you actually arrive. Okay, I know that. So that's the way these kind of courses work. It takes a minute to make that shift from the regular mind of the world that thinks it has all this stuff that's going on and tune into the real self. And we left out paragraph 23:2, which is saying that the lessons learned from love will go a long way in assuaging your remaining fears about the loss of individuality. You believe will accompany the loss of your personal self. Sometimes we think it's saying that we think we join and connect with each other as one, that we also feel like somehow we're going to lose our individuality if we do that. And so he says that for as each of you has found as you loved another, the more you love and long to possess a loved one, the more you realize that your loved one can't be possessed. Okay? You see that going on all the time. Because I love you, I want to possess you. Because I love you, I want to possess you. Because I love you, I want to possess you. Because I love you, I want to possess you. And it says, while in a love relationship, the greatest knowing is sought, and with willing partners attained, one's partner in such a relationship will transcend complete knowing. The relationship becomes the known. While it is your nature to seek for more, it is also the nature of life to exist in relationship and to become known through relationship. So it's hard to fool yourself in a relationship. So if you want to think that you're more advanced than you really are, then stay out of a relationship. Okay, you get a chance to think very highly of yourself. As long as you don't have nobody else to tell you that you still got a lot of buttons that can be pushed.
That's true.
Let's face it, it's the truth. So sometimes we take vacations, and the vacation is called, I'm not in a relationship right now. I don't get a chance to get my butt. And when I say relationship, I'm not just talking about a romantic relationship. Yeah. It's your relationship with anything, your job, your money, your body, your house, whatever it is that you think you're in a relationship right now. And the Course in Miracles defines an idol as anything you put before your peace.
Before your peace?
Before your peace, yeah. Anything in your life that if you didn't have it, then you would give your peace up about it. That's the Course's definition of an idol. Anything that's more important to me than my relationship with Source. Anything that's more important than my relationship with God, my relationship with self. Because I can't give what I don't have. And if I don't have a connection to Source, and if I don't have a really solid idea of a connection with myself, what do I really have to give to anybody else, really? Really, all I'm doing with the other person is trying to hope that they complete me. That's what I'm really with them for. So, he says, this is how knowing comes to be. Knowing through a relationship is not a second best situation. Knowing through a relationship is how life is. Knowing through a relationship is how love is. Okay, any questions about that? Any comments about that paragraph? Thus, while your partner in love transcends total knowing, this too is how it is, how it's meant to be. Love inviolate. Each of you is love inviolate. Yet relationally, you may be able to read each other's thoughts. You ever been in a relationship where you didn't even have to say anything, they just got it without you saying anything? That's how in tune you were. I've been in relationships that we felt so connected at the time that the person would respond to me as if I had verbally said something. They'd actually respond to what I was thinking as if I had just said it to them out loud. That's really freaky, you know. And so it takes a lot of love to keep a relationship that's that close going. Because anytime you got that much of a joining, the part of you that believes in separation definitely wants to get rid of that. Are we clear that there's a part of us that just as much loves separation as there's a part of us that loves joining? And that the part of us that believes it's separate is the part that's been in control for the longest at the level of the body. Yeah. So, and there's nothing that the part of us that believes in separation is more afraid of than joining. So most people don't know, but they're asking for the thing they're most afraid of when they ask for love. Because they're actually asking for the thing that the mind that's afraid is least able to do, which is to free someone. And to free someone from their scripts and their need to control them and possess them. So it's funny how many people are asking for the one thing that would scare them half to death, which is something that is beyond the idea of control or limit or exclusion or anything like that. You know, I count on the fact that the Creator's love includes me as much as it does everybody else. I would be sorely disappointed if God's love was like human love. Right, because we'd be screwed. Yeah. Because human love is completely special. It's a bargain. It's given and taken away, given and taken away, and depending on how you act or what you do. And human love will feed this person, but it won't feed this one. So human love is not. I mean, it has a little bit to be desired to me, even though I have it just as much as anybody else does. Yeah.
Human love to me. When you were talking before, the way I used to view it, I still do sometimes, it comes with a possession. I love you, but there's always a but there.
Yes. And usually it's the but that gets you into the love to begin with.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead.
Usually, as I think about my past relationships, it was about possession.
Right.
About ownership.
Right.
If we love each other, we own each other.
Right, because if you're afraid, well, that's what you want to do. If you're afraid, well, make sure it's yours all to yourself. That's the nature of fear. Think about it for a minute. I'm afraid of loss. I'm afraid there's not enough, so I got to make sure this is mine. That nobody else can get this but me. This is mine.
Which in turn makes it go away.
Which people don't realize.
Right.
Yeah. That's what chases the love right out of the relationship, and then you end up with two bodies being together. And then that's what many people call a relationship, is the fact that there are two bodies that live together or hang out together that are not really joined and communicating anymore. I love how the Course in Miracles says that when it's not a real love and you're in a relationship, the other person is only as interested in what you are saying or what you are thinking as whether or not what you're thinking is going to take you away from them, or what you're thinking is going to bring them closer to them. This Course in Miracles thing, the Course of Love class that you're going to, it's an okay class if it's going to put you more close to me and more in my control and put your body closer to mine. I'm kind of suspicious of what this guy's talking about if you start acting independently, thinking for yourself, and maybe not wanting to do everything I want you to do. Then this sounds like a cult. So I'm only interested in what you're thinking is whether or not it's going to affect my agenda. And that's the truth. That's the truth in terms of a fearful mind. That's the truth in terms of a fearful mind. I always remember that we always having two types of mind described to us. How the separated mind operates and how the mind operates that's not afraid and wants to join. And so he says, so we can start choosing to join with the kind of mind that's going to be the most peaceful for us. But we can't do it if we don't know the difference between the two. Yeah.
Also, when you're in a relationship, you kind of want to shelter the outside world to make sure that this relationship doesn't have any interference. You know
right, absolutely. That's right. That's right. That's
but you do that naturally because it makes you think that you're safe. If you could keep the world away from us, we can hide out in our house.
Well, that's exactly what the purpose of a house is. It's your hideout. It's the place that my home is the place I can go into, feel like I got some semblance of control of the environment, and shut the world and all this insanity out. And hopefully I got somebody in the house with me who's going to remind me of how cool I am and help me feel validated while I'm shutting the world out that I'm afraid of.
So really you're walking into a prison.
Hopefully a prison with a flat screen.
That's right.
At least for me. I know some people, they don't watch TV, but I do. So yes, I know. Okay.
Earl?
Yes.
and like, okay, this possessiveness
Mm-hmm.
and this specialness, like, I'm realizing that I'm not really seeing the person for who they are when I'm like trying to possess and see them as special and human love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only seeing what I think they're gonna fulfill.
Right.
Like, I just see them as like a script. I don't really see them for who they really are.
Right. Their job is to fulfill my fantasies and uninterrupted bliss. Your job is to make me realize how valuable I am, in case I forget. Your job is to make me not be afraid and to feel like I'm really valuable and really cared for. You're supposed to keep my fear away. I know this doesn't sound very romantic, but this isn't about being romantic. This is about being real and telling the truth. Because you can always have a great time in a relationship. The Course teaches all the time that the only reason why you get hurt in anything is you forget what it is. That the pain comes from forgetting what it really is. Like if you're in a relationship that's based on conditional love, and you forget that you're in a relationship based on conditional love, then that's when you're going to hurt yourself. But if you're in a relationship based on conditional love, and you know it's based on conditional love, and you agree on it, and then you can go ahead and enjoy it according to the rules that you've made up, that you both are agreeing that you want to act from. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you're dealing with an unconditional loving relationship. You know, I know people who have been in relationships for 20, 25 years sometimes, and been with each other through thick and thin, and the other partner was with them when maybe they were going through a very serious disease or operation, or was hanging in there all night with them while they were sick or something, and then that person go to bed with somebody else, and that person abandons them forever. In other words, the relationship was the love was conditional. Forget the fact that you were at the hospital with me for 6 months. You broke this rule, so I can't forgive you for that. It's over. It's done. So is that love or is that a bargain?
Bargain.
That's a bargain. You didn't keep the agreement. So as long as you realize that, and you see, the thing about vision is that vision is knowing the consequences of your action before you take them. So if you are aware of the conditions and the rules, then you know. So I'm not judging it one way or another. Sometimes people think I'm judging it as I just don't want to be fooled anymore. I'm just a big boy now. I don't need, I need to be able to deal with the truth as it really is. Yeah. And so I don't want to fool myself anymore, because that's how I've hurt myself in my life. It's fooling myself. So I don't look at human love as an unconditional love. So since I know it's not, then I know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? But if I was fooling myself into thinking that real love is like what humans do, then I would never experience real love, because humans don't do unconditional love in special love relationships. They just pretty much don't. They just don't. They do bargains. Right. Anybody don't see that? I mean, that's why classes like this are never gigantic. Really. The truth is hardcore. We come to classes like this and we hear stuff that the Course would say the ego part of us never wants to hear. If this class was just about how to manifest a house, a car, a soulmate, lose 10 pounds, how to manifest a vacation, a better sex life, it would be a lot more people here. Because there's nothing threatening about manifesting the physical things that you think you want to play with. But what we're talking about is getting honest with ourselves about who we are, what we need to let go of, any places we got blocks, fears, grievances. That's not as much fun to hear about. But it is, when you master it, will allow you to have joy and peace in any situation that comes up in your life, and you'll be able to handle things 10 times better than the people who only want their toys. And toys are cool. I'm not saying that don't want your toys. But the kind of mind that you have is going to determine how much you enjoy your toy or get hurt by your toy. So the toy is neutral. Everybody. I hope all of y'all have the kind of houses you want, the kind of clothes you want, the kind of body you want, I want you to have everything that you want at a physical level. That's neutral. That's totally neutral. What's important is how you're going to deal with it. How you're going to treat yourself because of it. How you allow yourself to have it. So, this is about being able to enjoy what you manifest, not about just manifesting. That's different. Okay. let's go on. It says, top of page 206. It says, thus, while your partner in love transcends total knowing, this too is how it is, how it's meant to be. Love invalid, each of you is love invalid. You rationally, you may be able to read each other's thoughts, but cognizant of the slightest switch in mood, finish each other's sentences. Whew! So you know the other would lay down his or her life for you, rise to any occasion of your need, share your every fear and joy. That's what I'm looking for. That's what the average person is looking for, right? They're looking for someone who they can read each other's thoughts, that they're aware of each other's slightest change in mood, know each other so well that you could almost finish each other's sentences, know that that other person would do anything for you, even lay down their life for you, and that if there's any need that you have, they'll rise to that occasion, and they'll also share every fear you have with you, and they'll share every joy you have with you. Sounds like a definition of a soulmate. Right? Non-partnered love also shares a knowing through relationship. The loved one may be on the other side of the country, separated by distance, previous choices, or past hurts, yet the relationship continues. So you can still be having relationships with people who are not in your physical presence. That's what it's saying. Even if you're not physically with them anymore, you're in a relationship with them if you're thinking about them all the time, even though you're no longer with them. You're in a relationship with them if they're on the other side of the world, but you're still conscious of them and you think of them. In both partnered and non-partnered love relationships, the one you come to know, the only one who doesn't transcend total knowing is yourself. Like, I know everybody better than I know myself. I'm more focused on everybody than I am on myself. I'm more curious about everything else than I am myself. Any questions about those two paragraphs or comments? Yes?
So, in truth, you can be in a relationship with someone who's died.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because you can absolutely be in a
Right.
relationship with someone who's died, because they haven't died as long as you're thinking about them.
Right.
And they haven't died.
Right.
Anyway, they're just not in a body anymore. But that's a biggie. They're just not in a body anymore. And the reason why you don't hear their voice is because you don't believe you can.
So, my friend who introduced me to this class, he told me that like if I send like a loving thought to someone that's not even in the room, that they can receive it. Is that basically what this is saying?
Yeah, our minds are joined. Everybody in this room knows what everybody else is thinking, but we're just pretending that we don't so that we can have a separate experience of each other. Everybody knows what everybody's thinking. Everybody knows what everybody's thinking, because there is nobody. It is the one mind. It's just one of us. But we're pretending like we don't really know, but we do. Sometimes one of the best ways to get a person to think about you is to think about them. They'll feel it sooner or later. They'll kind of get it, but they'll say, "I'm thinking about you." That's how it usually comes back. They'll say, "I was thinking about you today," but actually it could be you were thinking about them. So they thought they were thinking about you. How many times have you thought about a person, and then the phone rang and they called you, or you thought about a person, and then within 24 hours you ran into them somewhere at the store, out on the street? It happens all the time. It's like, I would love for us to talk weird. I would love for us to not come to these classes and try to be regular people, and then try to fit, the truth into the way that regular people think. Because I don't think that's why we even come to a class like this, is so that we can hear the way regular people think. And regular people think this way. The course teachers, they just think this. Everything that's happened to me is being caused by something outside of me. And so they want you to tell them what outside themselves needs to change in order for them to be happy. So they go from class to class, thing to thing, trying to get you to tell them how to manipulate something outside of themselves to get a different behavior. What can you tell me to tell my husband to get my husband to change toward me? What can you tell me to get my child to treat me different? What can you tell me to get my boss to treat me different? It's like the Course says, we just want to use our mind to come up with everything that needs to change but our mind. I'm using my mind to come up with all the different things that need to change other than me. Right? That's what he says we do. And someone who's trying to be on a conscious path is somebody who's trying to get in touch with their person of power and realize they're not someone that's weak and a victim of what's going on around them. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't know about you, but when I turn on the TV or go to the movies usually, or around just people in the world, they're not talking like what we're talking about right now. Not usually.
No.
So I got to make sure I hear something other than what the world teaches me. That's why I do this. Because it assures me that I'm going to hear stuff like there's specialness and there's love. Love is unconditional and includes everything and everyone equally. Specialness doesn't. Now, specialness could be used to move you toward love because you could practice the principles of love on that special person, which would be the best use of them. They could be the opportunity for you to practice everything you're reading in the book. And since you have their undivided attention, because they're your special person, then you got a non-stop opportunity to master love all the time. That's what a special relationship should be. It should be a non-stop opportunity to master real love. And go to a movie. Go for a walk in the park. You know. One of the most interesting things about being in London was, especially in London, was that there was a very, 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 in my perception, there was very, 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 very little eye contact. The people made very, very little eye contact. And that's one of the things that I love about the perception of reality that I met some incredible people, but I just noticed out in the general public. And that's one of the things I love about here in Denver, in Colorado, is that I was just walking in the park today, for instance, and it was amazing, you know, how many people that I passed by that smiled at me and spoke to me and acknowledged my presence. That's always a sign of fearlessness when people are willing to make eye contact and acknowledge your presence. One of the biggest signs of fear is when you are only as aware of people around you as it takes for you not to bump into them.
Go to Germany.
Yeah, and so what that right, so what that told me was I was looking at the part of myself that needed to become more open. So therefore, I would make a point of looking at as many people as I could, hoping that I could make eye contact and greet them, because whatever I'm experiencing is coming from me. So if that's what I was seeing, then the easiest way for me to get that to be different would be for me to be what I wanted to have. That's how I changed my experience. If there's any quality I would like to see in anybody in this room, I cultivate it in myself first, and then watch the corresponding reflection happen in my physical world.
So that's what you were seeing today when you were walking in the park.
Right.
You were seeing a very happy, open, loving you.
Yeah, I was seeing a very happy, open, loving me.
Right.
And so all I had to do was continue to build on that by greeting them the same way they greet me. So that keeps that ball rolling. And if I'm in a place where it looks like it's not that way, then I have to get it started.
Yeah.
Because then I'll get the reflection, because I'm starting it. I used to always wait for somebody else to love me before I would love them, or be nice to me before I be nice to them, or speak to me before I speak to them. You know, or I come into a gathering like this, and I'd sit there and wait for everybody else to come up and say something to me. And then I would leave and say people weren't friendly. You weren't friendly. You could have just as easily got up and said hello as anybody else. You know, I would go to a party and then say the party wasn't good because no one came to talk to me. But I'm the one in the corner that's not speaking and judging the party, right? Because nobody came up and talked to me. So you know, one of the most powerful realizations you can make is to be what you want to have. That's the quickest way to have it, is you become it. I used to try to make everybody else be it, then I give it. That's the slow way. Because the part of you that doesn't love you is going to always choose the person that doesn't want to give it to you. You can count on it. When you don't love yourself, you're not going to be attracted to somebody who's available. It's just built into the system. You won't be. You'll always fall in love with the person that doesn't want you. Always. Always. And the people who do want you, you won't be interested in them, won't be turned on by them, and you'll probably just put them in the friend zone. It's funny. But just watch it. Watch your friends, watch yourself, and see if that's not true. That a lot of times the people you felt the most passionate about were the people who were somehow not available.
So how do we learn to love ourselves?
One of the easiest ways to learn how to love yourself is to be willing to do the same thing you did to not love yourself, which was to listen to a different set of ideas and beliefs and thoughts about who you are, and to learn how to let go of all the ideas about yourself that don't reflect loving thoughts. So, see, the only reason why we don't love ourselves is because we learned not to. And I'm gonna say it again, learned not to. You know, I was taught through my experiences to feel the way that I feel about myself. It's based on my past experiences. So it was those experiences that I learned to look at myself through. So if I want to feel different about myself, I've got to give myself a different set of thoughts, a different set of ideas. Now, the easiest way to change yourself is just to drop yourself in the middle of a group of people who are also trying to do the same thing and who are also trying to love themselves more and tell themselves more loving, positive things. But no, the average person won't do that. Their personal friends will be a reinforcement of their old beliefs about themselves, and they'll drop into groups like this every few months and then wonder why nothing's changed. It's who are you continually putting yourself in the presence of. And so it's like a friend of mine, you know, it's like she wanted to learn Spanish, so she went to live in, you know, South America for a few months, because everybody who's learned it really quickly, they've all told me the same thing. The way they learned it was they were living there for a while, and they really didn't have any choice but to learn the language if they were going to communicate with anybody. So that person could have done it by trying to go to a school here where they only taught Spanish during the school hours, which would have been more difficult. But if they dropped themselves in a community of people who spoke Spanish, then they would learn it quicker. You got to drop yourself in a community of people who talk innocent, who talk free, who talk loving, who talk abundant, who talk caring. Now, the part of you that doesn't believe that's true, or you, it will do everything in its power to keep you from coming to that group, or coming to that meeting, or reading that book. I promise you it will. You have the best intention in the world and not do any of the things you say you're going to do. And you wonder, well, why am I doing that? It's the part of you that doesn't believe that you deserve the happiness that you're saying that you want. It's the part of you that you're trying to change. Obviously, you've already trained that part.
Yeah.
You know, so the easiest way to change is to immerse yourself in the thought system that you want to live. And make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it fun. Because y'all know how much we like to do stuff this fun. You know you love to do stuff this fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless you're an adult. Then you're all about the seriousness of life. And you got to figure it all out. You got to do it on your own. And you know, I don't have time to play. I'm a serious adult. Deep. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, brother.
Well, this is going back a little bit, but when you're talking about, you know, passing by people, and when people look away or they have a look in their face or something like that, and it's a reflection of yourself, basically. Right. We're talking about. Mm-hmm. What about those times? I was just thinking about some times that I've had where I am convinced I'm having a bad day, and then somebody goes, "God bless you, brother. How are you today?" It's like, well, shit, I wasn't feeling that way. You know, I wasn't.
But there's still no exception. It's still the way that you feel about yourself being reflected back to you, but you're just not aware you feel that way about yourself.
What is that? I mean, what
is it?
Is it just unawareness?
Yes.
That's it. That's it. Unaware of the fact that I'm having a better day than I thought I was.
Absolutely, absolutely. We here. All of us are sitting here, and none of us are starving, and all of us are in a totally safe room. There are no guns going off. There's no tanks going by, but we'll sit up here and be unhappy. We're not being touched. Nobody's attacking us, and we'll sit up here and not be happy. So where could that unhappiness possibly be coming from? But what we're telling ourselves in that moment, even though there's obviously a part of us that loves us so much it created a safe environment like this. Yeah. So that proves that there's a part of you that's totally capable of creating safe, loving environments for yourself. What's the proof of it? You're physically in one. Then you decide how you want to see it. And because something didn't go the way you thought it should go, now you don't feel good and you don't feel happy. That's the only reason why. And then people say, well, what about, if I have physical illnesses and conditions and diseases and I've been told I got 10 months to live, that's still your choice, how you choose to see it. It's still your choice. Christopher Reeve was a great example of that. That guy was a quadriplegic and he had a more positive attitude than people who could run the 2-minute mile, if there's any such thing. You see what I'm saying? Why? It wasn't that his body was healed like everybody else's. It was the way he chose to look at things. And that's to me, that's the main thing I'm trying to get, is that there's nothing outside of myself that's making me unhappy at any time. It's always, 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 no exception, always what I'm telling myself in any given moment that's determining how I feel. Always. There's no exception to that. But the part of our mind that lies to us and tricks us tells us, if this person spoke or acted differently, if this situation changed, then I would really be happy. That's the wrong plan for happiness, as the Course calls it, the ego plan. You know, so just keep in mind what they call in the truth the no exception rule. There is no exception, and that's what people hate because they love exceptions. No, there is no exception. There is no exception. There's not any situation that's happening in your life that you're not the one that's determining how you're feeling about it. Not one. None. There's no situation that the way you feel is being caused by something outside of yourself. Ever. Now, that's big. That's big. Don't you think that's big? Yeah, that's big. But here's the ironic part about it. If you were to say that to yourself, whether you believed it or not, you'd watch the things that upset you begin to fade away. I promise you that. Everything you're complaining about would start to fade away as soon as you say you're the one that's determining how you see it. Cool. And after teaching this 30 years, it is so interesting to see how people are willing to do almost anything but that. They'll go to a job they hate every day. They'll go to therapy forever. They'll do everything but just say, I'm the one that's creating the way that I'm seeing this. This is happening by my choice. Even though they're only being asked to see it that way. We're not even being asked to do anything. We're being asked to see it another way. And so, but I know people who would rather suffer than ever take any responsibility for what they're experiencing right now. Because it just seems easier. I don't know about you, but it just seems easier to blame everybody else. And it just seems easier to want everybody else to switch. It just seems easier. It's not.
It seems that way.
But don't you agree? It looks that way. It looks like it would be a lot easier if you would just do what I wanted you to do, and then I would feel good. I mean, that seems like a lot easier than me doing what I want to do to make me feel good. You know. It just seems so. I don't blame people for blaming people at all. I can totally see how that makes total sense. It's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
So that's because you're looking for your happiness out there.
Absolutely.
Really, it's in here.
Absolutely. And we've all heard that. How many of y'all heard that before? Happiness is within. Happiness is within. We've all heard it a billion times since we've been on the planet. But we walk right out here tonight and say, if this person's situation changes, then I will be so much happier tonight. If I could just lose this 5 pounds, my whole life would change. We all do it. We all totally do it. Listen to the truth and go, and then you go right out of here and get in a big fight when you get home. Why? And you always know what the anger is about. The anger is always about this. Always remember this. If you really want to use your anger to free you, you go, okay, I'm angry at you about blah 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 blah. I'm so mad at you. I don't know what to do. You know, and all you got to do is say, you're not acting out my script. And as soon as you get angry, just go. Just say I'm angry at you. Just go. You're not acting out my script. And all of a sudden, you see what your anger is. Because that's all anger is. You're not acting out my script. But why are you angry at the Republicans? They're not acting out my script. Why are you angry at the Democrats? They're not acting out my script. Why am I angry at Obama? He's not acting out my script. Why am I angry at Bush? He didn't act out my script. Why am I angry at my son? He's not acting the way I think he should act. That's all anger ever is. Why am I mad at myself? I'm not acting out my script.
So when somebody's mad at you, it's because
mad
at me, it's because I'm not acting out their
script. It's because you're not acting out the script. Right. Whatever it is they decide that you should be doing in order for them. It's like when you be on the bus and a kid comes in there back in the day when they had boom boxes. Remember that day? I remember it when people would come on the bus with some of the things so big they couldn't hardly walk on the bus. And so that's why it's so funny to see the little the nanos this big that you can pin on your collar. And I remember the big boom boxes, and people, they would play it on the bus or whatever, and people would be getting so angry. And why are they getting angry? They're not getting angry because of the person playing the boom box. They're getting angry because the person isn't acting out their script, which is you shouldn't play the boom box on the bus. It's always, all anger is always two things. It's an attempt to make something or someone feel guilty, and it's somebody not acting out your script. So you're guaranteed to be miserable if you make your happiness dependent on everybody acting the way you want them to. You are going to lose, because we will never do it. As a matter of fact, the universe is going to guarantee they don't ever do it. You know why? Because that would be teaching you a lie, which is that your happiness depends on everybody acting out your script. So the minute you set it up that way, you're saying, God, don't help me. Because God isn't going to help you fool yourself into thinking everybody's under your control and that your happiness depends on everybody else acting the way you want them to. The universe would never support a premise like that, because a premise like that isn't based on the truth. But if you go, I want to really recognize how I'm responsible for what I'm feeling right now, and I would like another way to look at things so that I could give myself the peace that I deserve to have, then the universe rushes to your aid to give you all kinds of help to come to peace, because you're willing to assume some responsibility for what you're going through. Then you get all the help you could imagine.
I'm sorry, the two things for anger was one, you're not
you're not acting out my script, and I'm trying to make you feel guilty.
What if you're aware that you are that you're not blaming other people? You're aware that you are causing the way that you are feeling, and that it is your issue, and you take ownership of that. At least you feel that you're taking ownership of it, or you feel that you are doing those things, and you feel like you can't break out of acting out a script that sucks, and you don't want to be in that script. And but it has nothing to do with anybody else that you're aware of. It's just
everybody hear what he's saying.
You alone in your room,
Okay.
sitting there and just sitting there going,
Right.
"God damn!"
Right.
Excuse me, everybody, but and just
Oh my
It's okay.
well,
Nobody here has ever heard a word like that before. What do you mean?
You might be on the Barney network here. I don't know what's going on. And you're just upset with yourself,
Yeah.
feeling less than,
Yeah.
and nobody, and you're not blaming anybody, and nobody else has any input, and nobody's in sight.
Well, see, that's a very good. Here's the way it works. I got my patterns, and I'm totally unconscious of them, and I can't change them. I'm aware that I got my pattern, and I can't change it. I stay aware that I have my pattern, and I change it. So there's an intermediary stage where you are like a witness, seeing yourself act a complete idiot, and you can't do anything about it because you haven't gotten to the point yet that you can change yourself emotionally. You're on the way to doing that just because you're claiming responsibility for it. So that's what we're saying, that about readiness not being mastered. So you're watching yourself, but you're not able to change your behavior yet, is a stage. And it's a stage that you have to be willing to have happen peacefully.
Have peacefully.
Yeah, you got to peacefully realize that it's a very powerful, wonderful thing to see your pattern, even if you're not at the point yet that you don't always act it out. That's the first stage. So would you be willing to have that be a stage of getting to the point that you no longer are ruled by that pattern?
Yes.
Okay. Then now you can feel that way and be more gentle with yourself. See, when you get on the spiritual path, at least what I've seen, is that first you're generally a person that thinks that things are being done to you from the outside world. And then you're trying to figure out how to manipulate everything to make it be better. Because you really think your unhappiness is being caused by some physical situation outside of yourself. You keep on studying and learn that your thoughts and your consciousness, you really do change your consciousness, and your life physically becomes more peaceful and more loving, and you still feel unhappy sometimes, which will be the way that you know it never was the external thing that you thought that was really making you unhappy in the first place. It always was just you doing it to you. But before, you had physical justification for the unhappiness, because you said, I couldn't pay my bill, I had unloving relationships. And then you keep working on your consciousness, and you find that you are able to have those things handled in your life, and you start attracting really loving people to you, and you still see that you'll still make yourself unhappy sometimes. That's your way of knowing that it always was you telling yourself stuff that made you unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, and then you'll get to the point you will stop. You just stop. Why? Because you're no longer investing in that thought. You just, in other words, see what you call your negative ego thoughts as after images or residue of the way you used to think before you started to learn the truth. So now when you get angry or depressed or you lose your temper, say, oh, that's just my after image. That's just the residue of my ego. That's just the residue of my old way of thinking and handling things. It will make you forgive yourself that fast and move on. Because you're not going to change millions of years of programming in a month. But you can do it, but it can happen really fast. Much faster than the time it took you to mess yourself up. It don't take nearly as long to get straightened out as it took to mess yourself up. Because why? Because the universe supports your healing, where you have to make yourself miserable by yourself. That's the difference. When you decide to be unhappy, the universe is not helping you do that. So you've got to come up with choosing the wrong relationships, the wrong way of thinking, choosing a job you hate, not following your heart, listening to what the world tells you. You got to busily think things that keep you miserable. But the world isn't trying to do anything to keep you miserable. Think about it. How many people do you know, honestly, that's sitting around tonight and they're doing this? What can I do to make Earl's life miserable? I'm really going to sit down here tonight and I'm going to spend all my time trying to figure out how I can make Earl's life a living hell and make sure he never feels good about himself. You think anybody's sitting around right now really, honestly? And if it was, what percentage of that would that be compared to how many people aren't doing that? So it's kind of hard for our ego, because it's so self-absorbed, to ever really deal with the reality that people aren't thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. They're not sitting up there talking about the dress you wore and how short it was. If they do, it's for 5 seconds, just to entertain themselves. But nobody is as concerned about you as you are. So all of the holding back, all of the limiting yourself, everything that you're doing is self-imposed. Everybody else is busy trying to get their act together, trying to get their happiness. They're not sitting back trying to obsess about what you're doing unless you are special. And what you are doing has a direct relationship on them. Then you might get a little attention, but you're still not going to get 100% of their attention. Am I saying something crazy? We know that's true. It's like a part of us doesn't want to admit those kind of things, because our specialist doesn't want to hear that. It doesn't want to hear that nobody's obsessing about what you're believing. Really. They're really trying to allow themselves to be happy. Really. Just like you. So what does that mean? It means you're free. It means you're free. That the world is not trying to do anything to you. The world is not your enemy. Nobody's trying to block you from doing anything. So if you're miserable, it's just a plan you've come up with for happiness. It's like there are some people who believe they're going to misery themselves into joy. In other words, they're going to be so sad and so pitiful and so depressed and so victimized and so unhappy that just all of a sudden they're going to burst into joy. You see people that's like that. It's like they're sitting back waiting. It's like, if I'm just miserable, there's got to be a level of misery I can show that everybody will treat me better. And no, all you're doing is making everybody avoid you.
No.
You're just making people like, if they want to have a good time, they ain't gonna call you. They're gonna avoid you. But at least they're not attacking you.
Yeah.
It's not like they're gonna throw a Molotov cocktail through the window of your apartment. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, this person right here is so depressed, let's just kill them for their own sake, just get them out of here. No, it's not like, even though the person in the apartment might wish that would happen, that's not what's gonna happen. I'm saying that you're in a loving universe. And we're watching the news and looking at TV and getting a distorted image of the world. And there is many millions of percent more loving, cooled out people than there are the people who seem like they're causing harm in the world. But because the media focuses only on the fearful thoughts, it gives us the distorted image that we can't walk down the street at night because everybody's getting ready to jump from behind a bush to attack us. And it's just a distorted perception. And since you create through your consciousness, right? So you on the lookout for who will hurt you, then you're shocked when they show up and you don't realize you were the one that focused all the energy on it.
Brought it to you.
And brought it to you. It didn't have to be that way. That's what you are focusing all your attention on, is everything that could go wrong for you. And then you come to a class like this and we say, no, you deserve things to go loving for you. You deserve to have happiness. You deserve to have peace. Don't fool yourself. It's okay. It's all right for you to choose something different. You want to get out of that pattern that you're going through right now? Say, everything that's happened to me is happening to me of my own choice, and now I choose love. I choose something different. So how am I going to show myself I'm sincere about this? Well, I'm going to do some physical act that shows that I have some faith in what I say I want. That could be me reading a book. That could be me deciding to come to a meeting like this. It could be me saying, I'm going to pick out the friends in my life that I feel inspired by and make sure I spend more time with them, not to get from them, but to exchange love with them. I'm going to do something physically different to show I have some faith in this new path that I say I'm on. At least one thing. If I say I want prosperity and abundance, then I'm going to spend 2 cents more for toilet paper than I spent last week, with the faith that somehow that 2 cents is going to come into my reality in some kind of way. At some point, you have to do something to show yourself that you are sincere, because when you show yourself you are sincere, then you will see the witnesses to your sincerity. And what's so cool about it is that you don't need anybody else's cooperation to do anything that I just said. You don't need anybody's cooperation to do what I just said. If you're saying you're lonely, then you smile at somebody tonight when you go to King Super. You know, if you say you're broke, you give some money away. Especially if you're broke. You know what I'm saying? You say that you're sick and you want to feel healthy. Well, then for 5 minutes, act like you're not sick. Do something that a non-sick person would do for 5 minutes. You know, it's like this. All you got to do. All you have to do is show that you have some type of willingness to receive what you're asking for by doing at least one physical thing that shows that you have faith in what you say you believe in. And watch the universe reflect that back to you. Because we deserve it, we're powerful, and we're loved. Would you give it up for you? Would you give it up for the other people in the room too? Yeah, but these are cool people. Wow.
How can that be done? Is it really 8 o'clock?
It's really almost 8 o'clock. So let me do the love offering, and then I'm gonna do. Y'all act like we have an original problem, but I guarantee you, it's not. I guarantee you, if something outside of me were different, I'd be happy right now, in some form or another. And then we can work together to change your perception of that, so that it can no longer be a problem. But if you believe that the problem that you're going through has a payoff, then you won't do anything to get rid of the problem. So a problem that you think you have, that you haven't been able to get rid of for years, there's some kind of a payoff you're getting out of that that's more important than having the problem solved. So if you got a long-standing problem and pattern that you've been dealing with since you were 5 years old, there's some payoff that you get. Like if you never have a relationship that works, the payoff is you're afraid of one, and you don't really want to deal with that. The payoff is that you feel safer without being in one than you do in one, but you're trying to convince yourself you need one. The truth is you prefer not to have one right now. And you can always change your mind. That's the cool part about it. That no matter how you feel about it, you can change your mind anytime. You can. Yeah. Anybody else before I finish up?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Uh-huh.
I just really wanted to thank you for what you said about the stages.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, like earlier today, you know, I was texting someone and I did it and I noticed it and I noticed that that was my call for love.
What was your call for love?
My text.
Okay.
Because I texted the person and then the person like told me, well, I can't help you today.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But usually my MO would be to like to condemn myself and judge myself and be like, well, why'd you do that? And you're such a loser. But I realized today that's my call for love. That's my call for love. But like I didn't know how to proceed from there. But for me, that's big.
I'm glad you said that. There is nowhere to proceed from there. That's the trick. The trick is, that's the call for love now, what do I do next? No, the solution was to recognize it was a call for love. At the point that you did that, you really did everything that was asked of you. Let God do something for you, Chris. Let love do something for you. Let the universe do something for you. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to figure it all out. Even though you're a triple Virgo. Which I know that's a lot to ask of a Virgo. To tell a Virgo not to analyze something is like telling a bird don't fly, no matter what, just don't fly. So y'all have to go ahead and analyze it. That's okay. That's cool. You know, but that's why I'm into the truth. I'll tell anybody. I love living a life where I'm taken care of. I love living a life that looks like something invisible is taking care of me. And I've gone through enough stuff since I've been doing this to know absolutely that's what's happening. And I like that a heck of a lot better than when I used to live my life like I had to figure it all out and do it all on my own and try to get people to like me and influence other people. And it's like, that's such a hard way to live. But it's the way most people live because they haven't established a relationship with God. They haven't made a relationship with their source. They haven't connected with their higher power in themselves. And so when you don't do that, you set up a reality where it looks like you're on your own having to do everything. In other words, your higher self, that your God self knows the perfect job, knows the perfect relationship, knows the perfect situation, knows how you know what I'm saying? Everything you're trying to figure out, you actually could be given the answer. You know, I was reading that section in the Course in Miracles, that lesson in the Course in Miracles, only God's plan for salvation will work. And it was so interesting to me because it was basically saying there's a right plan and a wrong plan. You know, there's a fear plan for your happiness and then there's the one that works. And so it was like, I was trying to make that so complicated and it was just so simple. It was like, all right, this is the plan that won't work. The plan that won't work is that if this were different, I'd be happy. And then he says, well, the plan that does work, and I was like, what is the plan that works? I said, okay, this is it. Take a breath, I'm going to tell you the plan that works, okay? I said, okay, tell me. Sit your butt down, breathe, be quiet for a moment, go within, and ask God, the creator, your creator. You didn't create yourself. I love how the Course says that. You didn't create yourself. Something created you. So he says, ask what created you, what sent you here. Go and you go, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? That's the modern language version of that. So then how do you make that practical? Okay, if I'm with Jeff, I go, okay, I'm getting ready to hang out with Jeff this evening. Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do with Jeff? Holy Spirit, what do you want me to say to Jeff? Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to go with Jeff? What do you want me to say to Jeff? I'm going out on a date tonight. What do you want me to say to her? Where do you want us to go? What do you want me to do with her? What do you want me to say? Just do. That's God's plan. What is God's plan? Then I friggin' asked God. And so when I saw that, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it's so friggin' simple. What is love's plan? That you ask it. What is your creator's plan? That you finally act like your creator actually exists, so that your creator can actually start shooting you the stuff you're working so freaking hard to do, that could be given to you easily and lovingly and beautifully. So what's my ego's plan? Well, I heard you say that, Earl. But tonight, I got this situation that I'm going to try to figure out again how to deal with on my own. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mind when I leave here, and I'm going to go, how can I get my boss to change? How can I get my boyfriend to change? How can I get my husband to change? In other words, before I know it, I'm right back in the old plan again, which is, if this were different, I would be saved. If this were different, I would be happy. So, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? So, here are the questions. See if you can remember these. I'm going to say it in just a modern language way. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? And to whom? So the fourth question is, who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to say? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? And who do you want me to say it to? I wish I had more money. I wish I had more prosperity in my life. God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? And who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? That's God's plan. Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate you. Try it. Do one little thing that's a little bit different to show that you have faith in what you're trying to do, and watch your whole world change.
Yeah.
May the force be with you.
Yeah.
May the force be with you.